there, adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. This week, I want to talk to you guys about readied actions. So, in the last game that I played in, where I was not the DM, we had a situation occur where I told the GM I wanted to ready a cantrip spell for when we saw our enemy. Now, granted, we were in a dark cave, but my character has dark vision, so I figured that was a reasonable thing to do. However, there was some confusion and a little bit of a vague kind of interpretation of the rules on both of our parts, I would say. So I'm just going to read you guys directly from the book what it says, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about where the confusion occurred. And then we can kind of discuss how we feel about all of that. Sometimes you want to get the jump on a foe or wait for a particular circumstance before you act. To do so, you can take the ready action on your turn, which lets you act using your reaction before the start of your next turn. Most people realize you have to state what it is that you're holding and then a trigger for that. And the biggest thing with 5e is the trigger. The only time where you have to specifically state really what it is you're holding is when you're holding a spell. So just keep that in mind, and that's more so that you know that you're concentrating, and so that you know that if you are using a leveled spell, that the level is wasted at the end of that 6 seconds. So just for the round it's held. You can't hold it for multiple rounds. That's what I get as the gist of this anyway. We were entering into a cave that we assumed was hostile, and we heard some growling. And at that point, my character chose, before we were in combat, to hold a cantrip as a reaction that was an offensive spell. The way our DM interpreted the rules was that you could only hold an action when you were in initiative order, which to me in this is a little bit ambiguous because they don't specifically state that in the book. However, they do say it has to be on your turn, and we don't typically have assigned turns in Dungeons & Dragons unless we are in initiative order. So I certainly get that. Personally, that's not how I run my games, but doing some more looking online and stuff, it seems like that is the technical interpretation of the rules as written. For me personally, I have allowed my players, when they've gotten the jump or surprise round, as we would say, which obviously the other individuals involved in what was going on with our particular situation were not surprised. So I did not have a surprise round in this instance. I get that. But I have allowed my players to hold actions when not in combat order, approaching a combat situation. So it's a very kind of complicated sort of situation that I wanted to discuss on the channel. Hopefully that's clear as mud. But what we're saying is, technically, rules as written, you can only hold an action when you are in combat initiative order. That being said, I do feel like it is appropriate to allow your players to hold an action when they know that they are going into a possibly difficult situation that could be combative, in order to protect themselves against what they're pretty sure is coming. I'm waiting for all the sass down in comments. I totally see it coming. Let's have a adult disagreement down in comments, shall we? I'm really asking for it. This is a trap. It's okay. We're gonna do it anyway. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. I know this was a short video today, but it came up. It was very confusing at the time, based on some disagreements we were having about the interpretation of the rules, and I felt like it was worth discussing with you guys. So, let me know down in comments what you think about this whole rigmarole and the way that the rules are written and how you would interpret them in your games. And until next time, keep it rolling, adventurers.